Hello everyone and welcome to the Wrestling Matters Podcast debut edition. My name is Anthony Walker and all the creation, all the hard work that I've put in to make this possible has finally arrived. Now, hopefully for the next, the limit of the show is 60 minutes. It's this, like I said, this is the very first episode, so it will build from this episode basically. Allow me to give you an intro, if I may, on to what inspired me to do this. Before, I got watching a lot of videos, and I've always wanted to do something, my own. Watching YouTube videos of NoDQ.com's Aaron Rift doing his talk wrestling with Jeff Meacham, and the XMV videos, the Dads on Wrestling videos that were Renegade Wrestling, and whatnot, and all these other videos. And I've always thought to myself, well, I'm a wrestling fan. I'd like to do something of my own account on YouTube and that. And I currently do a 6-minute CVFM podcast for CVFM Radio, cvfm.org.uk. You can't do now in 6 minutes. I mean, all I'm doing is profiles and that. I have a lot of things that I wanted to do, a lot of ideas in my head, and it's very difficult to do in 6 minutes. Okay, very, very difficult to do in 6 minutes. And on February 9th of this year, I was on a episode of the Sunday Segway podcast with Kenny Killer and Shugs. I was invited on. I went on, had a blast, absolute good time, good laugh, good banter, loved it. And I wanted to do my own podcast myself, kind of thing. If they can do it, why can't I? But I didn't know how to do it. And then James Powers, the head of fan relations for Sunday Segway, put forward his show, James Wrestling Rambles, I believe it's called, which is on YouTube as well. Go and find it. Put in James's Wrestling Rambles on the search engine and you can go and see it for yourself. And I thought, yeah, I know what to do now. And here we are. I put it all together, and the differences between this one and the CVFM one is it's 6 minutes. It's not good, but the CVFM one's 6 minutes. This one's going to be longer than 6 minutes, hopefully. The aim is for 60 minutes, but like I said, what will happen is what will happen. But that's when you guys get into it. I mean, go to WM Podcast on Twitter, at WM Podcast on Twitter, facebook.com/WM Podcast, that's the like page for the show, or go to the YouTube page, which is youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. Go to the comments, leave questions if you want to ask questions. I will answer them on the show, on the Facebook page, all 3 pages in fact, But also I want your feedback on the show. What can I do to improve this show? What can I do to make this, great, so to speak? Feedback is welcome. Positive feedback and critical feedback as well, if that's saying something. Like I say, it's all up to you. What can I do to make this better? Your feedback, because I want to make this work. I'm probably going to need your help. No probably about it. I am going to need your help into doing that. If you have any ideas that you like, feedback is welcome on this show. Positive feedback. No negativity on this show, please. On my YouTube page or whatnot, because if you do, you will be removed. And if you're going to give me negative questions, questions that are just going to sound ridiculous, you'd be wasting your time because it won't get read out. But other than that, I am a wrestling fan. I'm proud to be a wrestling fan. I'm proud to be associated with wrestling, in fact. And since this is the very first episode of the show, I'm going to be bringing WWE Monday Night Raw show, my news and my thoughts and opinions on the show, in fact. And I'm going to be bringing TNA as well. In future episodes, I'm going to be bringing Ring of Honor, talk about Ring of Honor, talk about any other indie promotions like PWG as well, or NWA Hollywood as well. Anything else that's relevant in wrestling, plus my thoughts and opinions taken from all these dirt sheets as well. If there's any news or any comments or any stories that are making the wrestling world, and I've got some thoughts on it, I will bring them on this show. Also, as well, go to WM Podcast, like I say, on Twitter and facebook.com/WM Podcast, and the YouTube page as well, like I mentioned. Also, if you have any wrestling promotions in your area where you live, whether it's America, whether it's in the UK, whether it's Wales, whatever, that you think that you would like, to get put over, you'd like me to talk about, let me know on Facebook and Twitter and and the YouTube page, and I'll get in touch, and you can send me them through an email, all that, and send me all the information through an email, and I will put them over on this show. I will talk about them on this show, and sorry, that's my phone going off there. I will talk about it on this show, and hopefully give you guys a little bit of publicity, so to speak, on this show. And this show is coming to iTunes as well, ASAP. I don't know when. Hopefully by the end of the week it will be on iTunes. I've got that to work out as well. But hopefully you guys will enjoy this show. I will bring in you weekly. Is probably the aim. If something comes up, I might bring you extra episodes. Like something like it's important that needs to be talked about, and I need to talk about it, or I feel that I would like to put my opinion over on it, I will probably bring you an extra show as well. Today's all about WWE and TNA today, because with WrestleMania around the corner, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, plus TNA. Look out for the Wrestling Matters Extra podcast this week as well, because that will be just strictly for WrestleMania, my thoughts on WrestleMania and what I thought of WrestleMania in general. So I'll call that the WrestleMania show, so to speak. Yeah, we're going to start slow and build. I'm going to start slow and build the way up, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And like I say, I'm a little nervous, so if I sound nervous, I apologise in advance. And hopefully you enjoy it. And like I say, any feedback, any thoughts on how to make the show better, please let me know. And a big shout out to Idris Rashid, who's the owner and the boss of CVFM Radio. Thank you for the opportunity. Like I said, do not worry, I'll be still doing your 6-minute podcasts every week, Tuesdays, cvfm.org.uk, as well, Tuesdays at 5:30, from what I was told anyway. But like I said, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm still doing your podcast. And like I said, I would have to say without you, this would not be possible. I would not have the step to do a show like this. So, like I said, thank you, and thank you so much for the opportunity for me to be a part of CVFM as well. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will get on with the show, and I will give you my thoughts on Raw, SmackDown, and TNA, and my thoughts in general of what I thought of them, of the shows. And I will start off, since from what I saw on SmackDown this past week, there was hardly nothing on, because basically from what I saw, there was only 3 things to talk about on SmackDown this week, and that was because basically SmackDown this week anyway was basically a WrestleMania show. But we had some matches. We had 2 matches from what I saw, and that was Dolph Ziggler versus Titus O'Neil. And I said this on the Sunday Segue podcast. The only way Titus O'Neil is going to get over is WWE booking. And I'm WWE till the day I die, man. I'm a WWE fan. I'm a wrestling fan in general. But there's one thing I will never, ever, ever understand about WWE is their booking. And when I mean booking, I mean use of talent, so to speak. Yeah, but it was a pretty good match for what it was, and good to see Dolph Ziggler getting pushed back into a position that I feel he deserves to be in. What will happen Sunday at the WrestleMania pay-per-view? Will he win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? I hope so. But yeah, I mean, it was just basically Titus O'Neil, this match, doing the job, so to speak, for Dolph, and putting Dolph over, which is questionable, but hey, it is what it is. The second match that was on that night, that was Los Matadors versus the Real Americans. Now, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Real Americans, man. I mean, the previous matches they've been involved in, or they've been in fact, they've always seemed to be falling out, and there's always seemed to be a push for Cesaro to turn face. But they seem to be on the same page. Seb Coulter slapping the hell out of Cesaro, motivating him into the match, obviously worked. And Los Matadores doing the job for Real Americans, basically. I mean, I'll save that thought for my WrestleMania show. Look out for the WrestleMania extra show this coming week even. I'll talk about what I feel about the tag team title match on WrestleMania on that show. I'll save it for that show. The Hulk Hogan in-ring promo, which was Hogan returning to SmackDown in God knows how long. Is it me, or was this? I mean, I love me some Hogan. Hogan is the whole reason I watch professional wrestling to this day, and I'll go to my grave saying that, because it's fact. but is it me, or was I the only one that thought probably that this promo was a carbon copy of the promo he did on Raw when he first came back? I mean, it kind of was, basically. It's just he did it on Raw and never done it on SmackDown. You thought, we'll bring him to SmackDown and he can do the promo again on SmackDown, kind of thing. It was just a whatever for me. But yeah, building the hype for WrestleMania as well, and basically it's just good to see Hogan back in WWE. Basically, you can't fault that, and everything getting away from TNA. More on TNA later. As a matter of fact, let's go to TNA right now. In fact, I've got my notes in front of me, so hopefully this will help me out. Where my notes at? There we are. Have my notes in first. Bear with me, guys. Now, segment 1, TNA kicked off this week with a tables match, which involved Bully Ray and Willow the Wisp, or Willow, against C3PO and Bobby Roode. Now, Willow is Jeff Hardy, as we all know, and I have to admit, I had my doubts about this character when I first saw him, or saw the fact that he was going to come to the show, going to come to TNA, in fact. And yeah, it works for Jeff Hardy. I stand corrected. It worked for Jeff. I'll go on record in saying Jeff Hardy is and forever will be the crazy son of a bitch of professional wrestling. You know, the crazy SOB of professional wrestling. I mean, good grief. Some of the stuff this guy's done. I mean, I'll give you one example. Go to TNA Bound for Glory and that Swanton bomb he did on Abyss. Holy moly. Like I say, go and watch that match. It was in Monsters Ball, Bound for Glory 2005 if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, just go and find it. Wow. But yeah, this match was a good tables match. Willow and Bully Ray going old school, doing some Hardy Boy stuff and some Team 3D stuff as well. Hardy Boy stuff being Bully Ray getting on his hands and knees and Willow jumping off and doing, hitting him in the corner kind of stuff. And Team 3D stuff was when Bully power slams him and opens his legs, and usually D1 would come off the top rope and do the wazah or whatever and headbutting him in the groin. And Jeff Hardy, Willow did that. In fact, Jeff Hardy did that, in fact, and with that mask on, I would imagine it wasn't a very good thing for EC3. Both teams worked well in this match. EC3, C3PO, C3 Dumbo, whatever you want to call him, getting beaten up very well by Jeff Hardy, old school Jeff Hardy style, as well by Willow, which was amazing to see. Yeah, and another thing as well, EC3 got up, and I think Willow kicked him in the groin at some point as well, and then Willow started doing this weird dance. I don't know what the heck called it. He started doing this dance, and then he turns round and gets EC3 in like a twist of fate position, gives him the twist of fate, except the fact it wasn't a twist of fate, it turned into a stunner, gets back up, kicks him again, and then does the twist of fate on him, which was unique in its own course, but hey, it worked. And then one of the highlights of the match, Rockstar Spud came out from previous week. If you saw what happened the previous week on Impact, Rockstar Spud came out in a wheelchair, still suffering from the injury caused to him by Willow, and tries to distract Willow, but Willow comes out, drop kicks him quite frankly out of the chair, and Willow picks him up and kidnaps him again, walks back to the locker room, leaving Bully Ray to fight EC3 and Bobby Roode on his own. And don't get me wrong, he put up a good fight, Bully Ray, but one mistake Bully Ray made cost him, and Roode hit him with a spine buster through a table and won the match. But then Roode again was not done after the match, because Roode decided to make a statement on Bully Ray and not only hit him with the now Roode bomb, also splashed him through a table too from the top rope. So that was a great match, great way to start Impact, I felt. A Magnus promo saying him and Abyss are on the same page. This was just Magnus saying, I mean, everybody's probably wondering, are him and Abyss on the same page, since Abyss is going to be one of 3 challengers for the Fatal 4-Way match later on, the 4-Way for the world title later on. Are him and Abyss on the same page? And Magnus came in and just said, yes, we are on the same page, everything's cool, blah 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 blah. And MVP was doing a promo in his office until he was interrupted by Kenny King, and Kenny was wanting to speak to him, and he said MVP was a little busy right now, I'll get back to you in a bit, kind of thing. And then basically MVP was just talking about how what's to come on the show and all that kind of thing, which was nothing really matters on that one. Mr. Anderson versus Samuel Shaw, well, a straitjacket match. These two made the match good to a point, but basically most of the match they were just trying to get each other on the canvas and put the straitjacket on one another and all that. And then it was basically a match that, like I said, just put on the show and everything. And then Samuel Shaw did his finishing move, that choke that he does, and basically choked Mr. Anderson out and put the straitjacket on him, which was an okay match, but it could have been a lot better, I thought. But heck, it was what it was. It was a good match. It was an okay match. Wasn't that good for me, in my opinion, but hey, it was what it was. The Beautiful People do a backstage promo talking about their comeback match with Madison Rayne and Brittany. More on that match later on. Yeah, they were just saying how it was good to be back and everything, and they're back to make a statement. And like I say, I'll get to that statement later on. Eric Young on his thoughts on the world title match. He just basically came in and said that he's the reason the Abyss is what he is now, the monster Abyss, and that. And he felt he's the one that needs to deal with it. And all, it was just basically that match and everything. And yeah, nothing else needs to be said. Tigre Ono and Sanada for the X Division title in a best of 3 series. Now, this has all the capabilities of being what the X Division is about. I think it was back in the day, weight limit. There were no limits in the weight division kind of stuff. But this is what the X Division to me is all about. A good match for a first match in this best of 3 series. Hopefully it'll improve before long. But yeah, it was pretty good for what it was. Like I say, hopefully the other 2 matches, if there is a third match, will be a little bit better. But this has the potential to be a very good, solid best of 3 series. Also, my opinion, I think they should put the best of 3, the third match, if there is a third match, they should put down the pay-per-view. Because I think that would be a big money draw, and it'll definitely give the X Division the credibility rather than it deserves, and it should be, because let's face it, in TNA, the division that made TNA, we all know, if you're smart, we all know that the division that made TNA was the X Division back in the day, with Daniels, AJ Styles, Elix Skipper, and so on. But before that match, Kenny King came out and started running his mouth about how he was the X Division, basically trying to get some attention, was what he was trying to do, from what it seems. And then Boss MVP comes out and puts him in his place, and then Kenny challenges him to an exhibition match. Basically, all this was Kenny wants to be on the card, so to speak. It was dying to be on the card, but he was full up, and then Kenny disrespected MVP and basically just called him out and challenged him to an exhibition match, like I said, and MVP accepted it, and we had a match for them later on tonight, which, like I said, more on that match later on. Again, another promo saying that, from Magnus, saying that him and Abyss are cool, everything's, quality, all that, whatever. Like I said, more on them 2 later on. Magnus had a little surprise, rather, as well. Was going to prove that everything was okay between him and Abyss, and yeah, the segment now. But the segment was basically saying, everything was cool and all that, and we all good. And they went out and they were going to discuss strategy in the match. Even though it's a 4-way, they were going to go out and discuss strategy, because Magnus had the thing that these 2 were on the same page, and everything was cool. And Abyss comes out in this suit. Holy moly. What is he, 6'10", 7 foot tall? He's a monster in that. He comes out in this suit. I thought Kane coming out in this suit was weird and scary as well. It's strange. Comes out wearing this suit with his mask on. It looks so out of place. I mean, if you haven't seen TNA, go and watch it. Go and find it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll see for yourself. I mean, it was just, this beat Kane being in a suit. This really did beat Kane being in a suit, man. I mean, it was just like, what? Everything was interrupted. Everything seemed to be on the same page, and as they were going up the ramp, out of nowhere, Eric Young attacks Abyss, starts pounding on Abyss, and then Magnus turns around, sees it, and he gets involved, and ends up being a 2-on-1. Magnus and Abyss beating up Eric Young in the corner, and then Samoa Joe comes out and beats up Magnus and Abyss, but Magnus sees Samoa Joe and runs out and hightails it, so to speak, and Joe comes in, starts pounding on Abyss and chases him off and everything, and then Eric Young gets into an argument saying, Samoa Joe, stay out of my business, and it's clear as day them 2 are not on the same page, and that was hopefully a setup. That was a setup for the 4-way dance for the world title later on, which I'll get to later. There were scheduled, Mike Tenay during the show said there was going to be a tag titles match between bromains or bromances, or as I call them, the Jersey Shore Rejects, and probably the best tag team in TNA, the American Wolves, the Wolves as they now know, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. But Robbie E came in with Doctor saying that his partner was injured and he wasn't be able to compete, and blah 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 blah, and they had doctor's proof and everything like that, and they had MVP being in a kerfuffle basically and saying that he couldn't do nothing about it, and they had to cancel the match. Hopefully that match will be taking place somewhere down the road, but I just think that was a joke, to be honest with you. But hey, it was what it was. Now, the past couple of weeks on Impact, Mike Knox, who's a member of the Aces and Eights, the now defunct Aces and Eights, was going back home because apparently there were floods taking place where he lives. There were floods happening. Something bad was happening in the area with his family and everything. He was looking to go home and make peace with his family and make peace with his sister and all that. And with all due respect, no one cares about that. the fans probably watching TNA don't care about that. And if yes, stuff like that does not need to be on television, not to need to be on wrestling. That's not cool. So basically, all I'm saying is as far as that segment's concerned,
you say it best when you say nothing at all.
I digress. Now to the next match, which was the Beautiful People versus Madison Rayne and Brittany. This started after Brittany went to Madison Rayne in her dressing room and basically begged her to be a partner, or basically saying that how she looks up to her and all that yada yada yada. And then Madison obviously turned around and said, "Come on, you can be my partner." So yeah, basically it was just a job match, to be honest with you, because the Beautiful People, they're not going to make the Beautiful People lose in their first match back, and they beat Brittany up, and Brittany took the fall, and Beautiful People ended up winning the match, which was an okay match, but at the end of the day, it's just nice to see the Beautiful People back together, the original Beautiful People back together, and yeah, hopefully they can be the Knockout Tag Team Champions before long. TNA, make that happen, please. Exhibition match. Kenny King and MVP. Now, this was just a train wrestling match. That's all it was. It was just a basically train wrestling match, an exhibition of train wrestling and how good, basically them two playing a game of can you tap this and this, that, and the other. And then it kind of boiled over and they got into a brawl, and it took referees to come down and break them up, and officials to come down and break them up and everything. And then as MVP had his back turned to Kenny, and Kenny took a cheap shot and got out the ring and hightailed it out of there. So God knows what's going to happen next. Hopefully there'll be a match and everything, and I was like, whatever. Magnus in EC3, C3PO, C3 Dumbo as I call him, whatever you want to call him, was backstage. It was basically Magnus backstage asking for EC3's help, and to be honest with you, EC3 punked out the champion, basically telling him that he wasn't going to help him, he was this, that, and the other, and all that. It was, yeah, just good stuff. Well, good stuff on EC3, but I didn't really care about that, to be honest with you. And during an interview with Kenny King, MVP loses a cool and tries to get a little bit of revenge on Kenny King, and this brawl ensues, and then the Wolves come out and try and calm MVP down, saying that this is not what it's about and everything and all that. And then MVP turned around saying, yeah, you're right, it was my mistake, my bad, trying to get a little slice of revenge, and on to the four-way match for the world title. Now, this, to me, from what I saw, wasn't a four-way match. It was basically a tag team match, quite frankly, because not once in the match, from what I saw, did Magnus and Abyss start fighting each other. Basically, it was them two onto Samoa Joe and Eric Young, trying to, beat these two up. But let's face it, Samoa Joe and Eric Young couldn't get along. But yeah, it was mainly a tag team tornado match, quite frankly. And towards the end, Abyss had it all. He had the momentum and he was looking to get the pin. I think he had Eric Young down. I think he chokeslammed him. But yeah, Eric Young out, and all he had to do was get the 1, 2, 3. But as he was about to do it, Magnus comes in and tries to prove that he can control the monster. Just tells him no, don't do it, and gets back in the ring. And then goes up and tries to control the monster. Says no, and then tells round and tells the monster, "I love you." Magnus said to Abyss, "I love you." And then Magnus gets the 1, 2, 3, and Magnus retained the title. A pretty good match in general, but a horrible ending to the world title match. But in any event, Magnus retained, and that's how TNA Impact Wrestling ended. That was just a whatever for me. I'm going to take a little quick break. Basically, I'm just going to take a quick break and put on a promo for a minute, and then I'll be back after this, and we'll talk about Raw, and I'll promote EPW as well. So I'll be back after this, so stay tuned.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Are you ready?
It is Sunday, and you're listening to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
Give me a hell yeah! Get some love! Ooh, yeah!
With Kenny Killer.
Hey, yo! We're in the big D tonight, baby! And we are live! Woo!
I'm the Goddamn Sugar Shoe.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be! Cause that's the bottom line! Cause Stone Cold said so!
Download the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast now at iTunes. And welcome back, everybody, to the second part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you enjoyed the first part. Now we're going to move on to Monday Night Raw. Now, Monday Night Raw kicked off with Taker and Lesnar. building into their match at WrestleMania. Undertaker cuts a promo, and then Paul Heyman comes out again with Lesnar, and they challenge, calls him out, and then get into a fight, a big, huge brawl. Thanks to Heyman's distraction, that is. And then after that, Brock does what many people believe is the unthinkable. Brock Lesnar F5's the Dead Man. Alright, he's F5'd the Undertaker before, but I don't think he's ever F5'd the Dead Man, so I can see why people think that is the unthinkable. I just wanted to claim in that I've seen it before. I've seen him F5 the Undertaker before, but the Undertaker he F5 supposedly was the American Badass. This is the Dead Man. And Lesnar, as always, when he gets the opportunity, always makes that statement, and the Undertaker was left laying, and that obviously lays into WrestleMania, so I'm very much looking forward to that fight. Now, the next segment after that, the match after that, was Big E Langston versus Del Rio. Now, I guess this is a Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal warm-up match, which Del Rio won, and was very impressive in that match. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, personally, I think Big E should have a match at WrestleMania and defend that Intercontinental title, but I'm a WWE booking. So it'll be interesting to see how Del Rio, even though Del Rio's leaving, when his contract runs out, he's another one who's leaving. But it'd be interesting to see what happens after WrestleMania involving Del Rio, leading up to his contract expiring. Will he do anything? Will he get a title shot? Will he, what would WWE do with him leading into his, exile, if you will? Be interesting to see. But I know Big E's got a big future. He's just going to be a great Intercontinental champion, and he's a beast. There's no doubt about that. And that'll be interesting to see what happens. Summer Rae versus Natalya. Now, this was based off the Total Divas segment where Summer Rae slapped Natalya. Pretty good Divas match. And Summer Rae got the win, which was a shock to me because I thought they would have given it to Natalya, but Natalya put Summer Rae over, which was okay to see, I suppose. And yeah, pretty good Divas match, and Summer Rae gets the win. So well done. Now, the Authority, Batista and Orton. I'll come back to that one because I've got a lot to say, and that will probably link in with the Batista Orton main event match as well. To the Usos, Los Matadores, Ryback, and Real Americans. Now, these four are competing at WrestleMania on the pre-show for the tag titles in a four-way. I don't mean to care. I know it's on the pre-show and that, but nobody cares about this match, and the Usos will win that match at WrestleMania because the number one contenders for the match are facing Kane and the Outlaws, and that's the Shield. So it's pretty pointless. We all know who's going to win. I'll be surprised if they go a different route with it, but like I said, we'll have to wait and see. A pretty good match nonetheless, and a pre-8-man tag match which ended in fact Yeah, which pretty much ended in the Usos and Los Matadores defeating Ryback and the Real Americans, which was, in a way, kind of predictable. But the Usos, like I say, will probably retain at WrestleMania, and like I said, I'd be very shocked if they go with a new tag team champions. But, and if they do, give it to the Real Americans. That's just my view on that. Now, going back to the Authority and Batista and Orton. Authority, Batista and Orton. This was just obviously a lead into WrestleMania. Merciful. Triple H coming out saying to the audience, and Stephanie they both antagonized the audience with farewell to the Yes Movement, and it's going to be stopped, and FaceTime the Beard, and having sent the New Orleans home, upset and everything. And then then Batista comes out along with Randy Orton. I'll get to Randy in a minute. Batista comes out, and the Animal was already in deep water with the Authority after last week, and Orton soon made his own way to the ring to get a glimpse of getting with the COO. Seemed unimpressed with the champion of champions at the moment. However, in the final act of motivation, made Orton's match with Batista that night, which I'll get to later on, made it a no DQ match. Basically hoping that Orton and Batista would literally beat the hell out of each other, quite frankly. Now on to the next match, which was Cody, as Sunday Segway calls him, Cody Dust and Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus Fandango and the new Damien Sandow, the jobber Damien Sandow, if you will. Now, is this going to be a new tag team, Fandango and Damien Sandow? Because I don't know. I know that would work, but hell, I've said that about many tag teams in the past. But as we expected, Fandango and Damien Sandow do the job for Cody Dust, as Sunday Segway calls him. And to be honest with you, I wasn't particularly bothered about this match because I could watch Fandango getting beat all day long. I don't like the guy. I like the guy who's doing it, Johnny Curtis. But as far as the character, I can't stand Fandango. I really cannot stand Fandango. And sorry, it's my chair creaking, by the way. I can't stand the character. I don't get the character. The guy who plays him is a great wrestler, but the character sucks. Absolutely sucks. And it is what it is with that. Now on to Bray Wyatt versus The Truth. Now, again, this is a warm-up match for Bray Wyatt. Obviously, R-Truth was not going to beat Bray Wyatt. But The Truth put up a good fight, and obviously the former US champion was a victim of Sister Abigail, and Bray Wyatt beats him 1-2-3. Which was just wow in itself. Seriously, Bray Wyatt's a scary dude, but he's damn good at promos and all that. Holy moly! Anywho, The next match after that was the Divas match. Naomi defeating Divas champion AJ Lee in a lumberjack match, a version of a lumberjack match but with females. And yeah, I think I know what I'm going to do for this one, because quite frankly I didn't care. So with that being said, I'll second that. Now on to the next match, which was Corporate brown noser, as I call him, or the big red brown noser. Yeah, the big red brown noser against probably the breakout star, as some people would say, Roman Reigns. Now, this was a pretty good match, but Kane defeated Roman Reigns by disqualification because, well, let's just face it, the Outlaws and the Shield got involved. And which built in for a fight, and then obviously sets up for what's going to happen at WrestleMania between these two teams in a 6-man tag. Question is, what will be the deal for the Shield? What would they get? I mean, will the tag titles? I mean, one of these guys. I mean, what we're going to do as far as Roman Reigns goes. I mean, are they going to eventually now push this guy to the moon? Because they've already started it, but will they continue it more after WrestleMania? I hope so. Because let's face it, Roman Reigns is the breakout star of the Shield. No disrespect to Dean Ambrose or Seth Rollins, and I love me some Seth Rollins. But Roman Reigns is the star guy who the WWE are pushing out of the Shield. Period. Hope they keep the Shield together, but what will happen after that, I don't know. Be interesting to see, though, no doubt. And the next match after that was a Rowdy Piper segment. No match. I think the next match after that would be the main event, but before the main event was a Rowdy Piper's Pit brawl between members of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, so to speak. Piper was talking in the ring, talking about WrestleMania and all, and then he gets interrupted by The Miz. Comes out and starts running his mouth off, and then Sheamus comes out and starts to put Miz in his place. And then Titus O'Neil comes out and starts running his mouth, acting all big shot. And then Dolph Ziggler comes out, and earlier in the segment, Piper says the two words "professional wrestling." In the history of professional wrestling, some line about that. Dolph Ziggler comes out and starts going in the history, starts saying he is the show stealer, he is the best, he is this, and he is. There's no doubt. But he said he is probably the greatest wrestler in the history of sports entertainment, somewhere around about that region. I might be not mortally correct, but somewhere around about that region. But key word there, sports entertainment. And I'm looking at him like, and I'm watching it, looking at him thinking, was he told to say that by WWE? Because Piper said professional wrestling, and let's face it, in WWE, professional wrestling's a dirty word to Vince. Anyone who's watched WWE over the years has already known that, but it was kind of a shaky kind of promo, and then a brawl ensued, and after Piper poked Miz in the eye, did his trademark poking of the eye, and a brawl ensued, and Big Show was the last man standing of the whole brawl. And the question is, will that happen at WrestleMania? I would probably think so, quite frankly. And if that doesn't happen, I certainly hope Dolph Ziggler gets it. But I'm pretty sure Big Show looking at it, it makes sense to give it to Big Show. But I just want him to give it to Dolph because I want Dolph to get back into the title picture where I feel, speaking as a wrestling fan, he belongs. But that's just my opinion. And now to the Batista-Orton match, which was a pretty good match, in fact, which had Triple H and Stephanie at ringside on commentary. The match was okay between them. Wasn't the best. The crowd obviously didn't like it. Was when you hear during the match, boring chants, and that, I mean, it was a good match. They beat the hell out of each other with weapons, which is what you're supposed to do in an ODQ match at some point. But the highlight of the match was at the announce table, because as you're watching it on the TV, you hear this commotion at the announce table, and out of nowhere, Daniel Bryan comes through the crowd and jumps on Triple H and starts to beat the living hell out of him. And despite the fact Orton getting involved and throwing him on the stairs, and obviously that didn't stop Daniel Bryan, because once Orton got in the ring, they put all three members of the potential triple threat between Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton and Batista. Orton gives Daniel Bryan and Batista the knee or kick at some point. He gives it Batista and he gives Orton the kick, and then next minute Triple H is Stephanie on the outside of the ring, and Daniel Bryan just dives through the ropes, and you could see it. Stephanie gets pushed out the way by Triple H for safety, but Triple H gets the whole commitment of that dive, and Daniel Bryan proceeds without question to beat the living crap out of Triple H with kendo sticks, throwing him over the timekeeper's table, just literally beating the hell out of him, and then eventually gets away, and the yes chants begin, and that's how we ended Raw. And we ended Raw in a good way, in my opinion. Question is, will Monday Night Raw this week, will Monday Night Raw be a new beginning of Daniel Bryan being the world champion? I guess we'll find out at WrestleMania. Bring on WrestleMania. Now, we go on to my thoughts on the show as far as the rating goes, out of 10 ratings. I will give Monday Night Raw, in my opinion, a 7 out of 10. TNA gets a 5.5 out of 10. And SmackDown, well, I think that gets a 3 out of 10, considering it was basically a WrestleMania preview show. So there you have it. And we'll continue that again next week on the next show as well. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to promote a promotion in my hometown. Now, like I said earlier on, if you've got any promotions in your hometown, go to WM Podcast on Twitter, go to facebook.com/WM Podcast, and go to the YouTube page and let me know, and I'll get in touch, or you could send me them on the YouTube page and I'll read them out on the show and put you guys over. But April 19th in Middlesbrough at the Rainbow Centre, EPW Wrestling will be presenting a show with Doug Williams on it. That's right, the anarchist Doug Williams, the guy who basically carried FWA on his back, a British wrestling company on his back, before he made it to TNA and whatnot. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens on that show. Doug Williams will be fighting for the EPW Championship, the EPW World Title, and it should be a really good card. Just get yourself down to the Rainbow Centre Saturday night, April 19th. The match, the doors open at 7:30, and it should be a good show. I'm hopefully, all being well, going to be there. It's kind of 50-50 at the moment. I think I'm definitely going to be at the show, but anything else before that, like there's a seminar taking place with Doug Williams at the training centre. It's questionable whether or not I will be there, but for that. But I will definitely be at the show. Like I say, I've got a lot on at the moment as far as personal matters wise and work related. Yes, I do have a job. Yeah, but it should be a good show. Just get yourself down there. The show features all tickets for the show are £10. Tickets you can get at reception, which I'm guessing is reception at the Rainbow Centre itself. 01642 592 800 for that. And the show features people like Doug Williams, Johnny Moss, Supermark, Prince Amin, Asylum, The Power Dragon, Rampage Brown, Mark Anthony, The Mass Destroyer, and many more, as well as Valkyrius. And if you haven't seen Valkyrius, get yourself down to the Rainbow Centre because you'll be in for a treat that night. He is really, really good. The tickets are £10, like I say. And if you're in the Middlesbrough area, or if you can get to the Middlesbrough area, and you're interested in training with EPW, or you want to be a part of what goes on, if you want to be a part of shows, you want to learn wrestling, you want to learn how to do the basics and how to do what needs to be done, basically, get yourself down to Douglas Car Sales, Werlands Way, Longlands in Middlesbrough. It's £10 per session. One-on-one sessions available at £15 per hour, or 2 hours for £25. And you'll get trained by pro wrestlers and stuff like that. And you compete in a ring, and you learn how to do the basics and have matches and see how good you are, basically. And it's a lot of fun if you're interested in this kind of stuff. It really is. I'd recommend it. But like I say, I'm not you, so you have to go and see that for yourselves. But it's really good, really, really good. And like I said, EPW, April 19th, Saturday night, April 19th at the Rainbow Centre in Colby Newham in Middlesbrough. Tickets are £10. For more information on the tickets, 01642 592 8000. Call the reception for that. Plus, if you want more information on EPW, go to facebook.com/EPW American Wrestling. Go to at EPW Wrestling 1 on Twitter, or go to epwwrestling.co.uk. That's their website for more information. And I will on my YouTube page where I'll have the show on, the audio for the show on my YouTube page, which is ADW Wrestling Matters, youtube.com/ADW Wrestling Matters. I will have the links to where it all needs to be, where you all need to go for it as well. And all the information will be on there, so make sure you check that out and make sure you look out for that. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Matters podcast, I hope you've enjoyed it. That's it for now. I will be back next time, and like I say, look out for the extra show, which will be based on the WrestleMania show itself, and what my thoughts are, and my review of WrestleMania, and what did I think of it. And like I say, go to Wrestling Matters, facebook.com/Wrestling Matters, at Wrestling Matters on Twitter, and youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters, and get yourself And if you like what you hear, please hit that like button under the video. That gets me over as well. And check out iTunes, I would say, by the end of the week as well, because you'll be able to download this episode from iTunes. I would say probably probably at the end of the week. I haven't figured that bit out yet, but it's coming to iTunes. That I can guarantee. And like I say, guys, I meant what I said at the beginning. If you need anything, if there's anything that you guys feel I need to do regards to the show, like how to improve it, how to make it better, if you have any ideas, you know where to find me on the websites that I've said, and comment in the YouTube box underneath. Don't give me any hate, because I won't take any notice, and you'll be immediately banned from the channel and whatnot, and you won't be able to make your comments like I want you to, and I don't want to do that, but if that has to be, then it has to be. But yeah, other than that, if you have any, I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you do download it from the iTunes, because like I said, definitely will be up by the end of the week. Yeah, it all starts tomorrow it starts on YouTube April 7th. So make sure you check it out, and like I say, it'll be on iTunes ASAP. And hopefully next week's show we could talk about Ring of Honor and all the other indie promotions and that as well, besides WWE and TNA, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, wrestling matters. Also, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, it's not just going to be talked about wrestling. Hopefully in the upcoming shows, the upcoming episodes, I will get interviews with people like Doug Williams, maybe Raven, any wrestler out there that is willing to do an interview. And if you guys are listening to this, any wrestler that is willing to do an interview, hook me up on Skype, Anthony _ Walker 1984. Get yourself on there, and get me on Twitter at WM Podcast and at Tony _ Walker, and I'll give you all the information. Or if you want, you can email me, but come on Skype. Get me on Skype, and then I'll give you the email address where you can get me as well. I like to give my promote my stuff and everything like that, but I don't like to give my email too much in that respect. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go and listen to the Sunday Segway podcast. It's on every Sunday, and it airs. It's pretty much up Sunday afternoon, UK time. So make sure you check that out. It's on YouTube, iTunes, and wherever else there is as well. And check out youtube.com/Sunday Segway. I think it's Sunday Segway podcast as well for that. The information for that will be on my YouTube page. And check out James Powers' show as well, James's Wrestling Rambles. That'll be on my YouTube page as well, so make sure you check that out. And he's a subscriber to my YouTube page as well, so you'll be able to find him no problem. Plus, please subscribe to my YouTube page as well, Wrestling Matters, AJW Wrestling Matters as well. Please subscribe to that. You will be helping me out a great deal. And with that being said, I've been Anthony Walker, and until next time, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for downloading. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, remember, wrestling fans, wrestling matters. Thank you. Good night.